Okay guys, so this is the video where I go over one of each type of problem that will be on the exam. So the types from G1. So this is number 14 from G1. So this is long division, and these are the steps we're just going to repeat until we end up with a remainder or not at the end of the process. And we're going to divide, distribute, subtract, carry down. Okay, so I go like this. Okay, and then 3x minus 4 is out front. Okay, so the divide step. I take the first term underneath and the first term outside and I divide them. So 6x cubed divided by 3x is 2x squared. Okay, so that is the first term in our answer. Okay, so we divided. Now we will distribute. Okay, so the distribute part, this gets multiplied, gets distributed back out to both of those terms, and then I write the result of the distribution below. So this times that, 6x cubed. This times this, minus 8x squared. Okay. All right, guys, and now we subtract this whole thing. All right, so you're subtracting this entire thing here. So if you distribute the negative, you're going to have a minus there and a plus there. Okay, so now those cancel, and then you add that. Negative 12x squared. So we divide, distribute, subtract. We did all three of those things, and now carry down. So the next term is that. So it comes down. And then you start all over. Divide. So I take this first term that's underneath, divide it by the first term outside. Okay, so that is the next term in my answer. And then I distribute this term to what I'm dividing by. So this times that. This times that. Okay, and now I'm subtracting. So imagine like a minus and then parentheses, and if you distribute the negative, that's going to be a plus, and now that's a minus. Okay, so then those are canceling. So 25x minus 16. That is 9. Okay, so 9x. So we did all three of these, and now we carry down this last one. And then do it again. So I take this first one underneath, divide it by that. So 9x, that's just 3. So plus 3 is at the end, and now I distribute. This times that. Okay, and then you subtract. So subtracting that, and then subtracting a negative is adding. So now those cancel. Negative 6. Okay, there's no more stuff to carry down, and that's what we end up with after subtraction, so that's the remainder. And so what our answer, guys, is this trinomial here plus the remainder over the divisor. Okay, and you know, if you want, you could like box this up right there, like that's the answer, or you could write it separately. And you could put the minus out front if you want, or you could leave it like this. Okay, so that's the answer for that type. Next, rewrite in vertex form, state the vertex. Okay, So the very first move, or let me say what my goal is. All right, the goal is something that looks like this. X minus a squared plus b. If you could get the quadratic this in this form, then you will see that the vertex is the point A, B. Okay, so guys, we're going to have to complete the square. So y equals, I'm leaving some space. Okay, now to figure out the number that goes here, to complete the square, you take this negative 10, you divide it by 2, and then you square it. So this is negative 5 squared, that's 25. Okay, so to complete the square, I add 25, but then I also subtract it in the same move. Okay, and now I focus on just that trinomial there, okay? And I have to factor it. I have to factor that trinomial. And you could do it off to the side if you want, but so I've got x squared minus 10x plus 25. Two numbers that multiply to make positive 25 but add to make negative 10, that's x minus 5, x minus 5. Okay, so this trinomial in factored form is this. Okay, so you could even write like x minus 5, cross out that old thing. So that's, you know, what's in the box now, but that's x minus 5 squared. And then out here, negative 25 plus 23 is minus 2. Okay. And so the vertex is, all right, I'll use a colon instead of an equal sign, but the vertex is 5, negative 2. Okay, here we go. So that is, there's going to be one like that. Guys, let me actually move now to G4 because this is very similar to what I just did, except we have to do an extra move. All right, so I'll do this one. Okay, so guys, this actually starts, okay, so what you've got to do, guys, before completing the square is you have to just focus on these first two terms. Okay. And the problem is we can't just directly do what we did just a moment ago because this coefficient is on the x squared and we can't have that. So what you do is you take the 3 and you just factor it out. X squared minus 6x. Okay. All right, so that's what that part is now. Now, in the next line, I'm going to have the 3, and I'm going to use brackets now, like around that, and I'm going to leave a space at the end to complete the square. All right, and then I'm leaving space, and the plus 5 is outside. Okay, so I got to take this number, this is b, and cut it in half and then square it. Okay, so that's 9. So to complete the square, I have to add 9, but then subtract it in the same move. Okay, now within this problem here, now I want to focus on this trinomial. Okay. Okay, that is a perfect square trinomial. Why? Because we made it that way. We completed the square. We figured out the number that if we added it, it would make a perfect square trinomial. Okay, so now we have to factor it. So I'll go off to the side, but that's optional. So I need two numbers that multiply to make positive 9, but add to make negative 6. X minus 3, x minus 3. Okay, so right here, this is x minus 3, x minus 3. I'll cross off that old thing. So guys, you could skip any of these moves I'm showing, but in the next line, we've got 3 outside of this bracket. And then x minus 3 squared plus 5. Okay. All right, guys. Now, this 3 gets distributed in front of that binomial and times that. 3. And then the plus 5 gets carried down. Okay, negative 27 plus 5 is minus 22. Okay, so the vertex is positive 3, negative 22. Okay, now where did I put G3? Okay, so now we'll do G3. Okay. Find the center and radius of the circle. All right. So, guys, a circle equation, we want it to be in this form. We want it to look like this. X minus a squared plus y minus b squared equals r squared. Okay. So once we have it in this form, we will be able to say that the center of the circle is the point A comma B, and that the radius is R. Okay. All right, guys. So to get this looking more and more like what our goal is, I'm gonna do some regrouping. Well, actually, first I'll subtract this 1 also from both sides, and I'll regroup. So x squared plus 2x, and then leave some space to complete the square, plus y squared minus 14y, leave some space, equals negative 1. Okay, so that's what I've got right now. And now I'm going to complete the square twice. All right, so for this one, I take b, I cut it in half, and I square it. That's 1 squared, that's 1. So in this first blank, I add 1, and then I subtract 1. Okay. Now in the next blank, I take negative 14, I cut it in half, and I square it. So I go plus 49 minus 49. Okay. All right, guys. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to focus on this trinomial and that trinomial. Okay, so the two trinomials that I just put parentheses around, those are perfect square trinomials. So they should factor nicely as the same binomial multiplied by itself. Okay, so we have to factor those. And you could do it off to the side if you want, but I have x squared plus 2x plus 1. Right. Two numbers that multiply to make 1, but add to make 2. X plus 1, x plus 1. All right. And then The other one, y squared minus 14y plus 49. Two numbers that multiply to make 49, but add to make negative 14. Y minus 7, y minus 7. Okay, now back into the problem. All right, so this, that was off to the side. All right, so now back into the problem. This trinomial here gets replaced by x plus 1 squared. Okay, and then that minus 1 comes down, plus this trinomial, I factored it over here, y minus 7 squared, and then the minus 49. Okay. Now I'll combine like terms on, where I can. So this is x plus 1 squared minus 50. And then I will add the 50 to both sides. Okay. All right, guys, that is our goal. Okay, we have something that looks like that now. So now I could say what the center and radius are. So center, and you could say it differently than me. I'll put it like in a little chart here. So the center is negative 1, 7. The radius, so the radius squared is 49. So the radius, you take the square root of 49, so the radius is 7. And the center is negative 1, 7. Okay, that's G3. Now, G5, this is a review topic, and there's going to be 2 types. And I'll tell you this, on the exam, I'll just give sine, cosine, and tangent. Okay, so the first type is evaluating. So evaluate tangent of 11 pi over 6. Well, guys, you're going to have to know that tangent is the y-coordinate over the x-coordinate. And then you're going to have to know that I want the pi over 6 circle. Pi over 6 circle. Okay, so that's this one. I'm putting these dots on dot, dot. Oh, this marker. That's weird. So there's all the dots. 11 pi over 6. So I start, this is always the start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so I'm landing here. Okay. And this point right here, guys, the x is the long one and the y is short. So our long length is radical 3 over 2. Our short length is 1/2, but since it's in the 4th quadrant, the y-coordinate is negative. Okay. Now I go up here. So this is negative 1/2. And then keep, change, flip. So I'm going to just flip the bottom up there. Make sure I cross it off. So this is negative 2 over 2 square root of 3. Negative 1 over square root of 3. But if you get a square root in the denominator, we have to do what's called rationalize the denominator. So how do I make the bottom like not a radical anymore in a way that is like mathematically sound, mathematically legal? what you could do is you could multiply by square root of 3 over square root of 3 because that's just 1, and multiplying by 1 does not change anything, or the value of anything. So this is negative square root of 3 over, down here, guys, this is the square root of 9, which is 3. Okay, so that's the final answer there. Okay, now going backwards. So now we are solving for theta. Here we were given theta and finding the tangent value. This time we're given the cosine value and finding the theta. Okay, so what you want to know, guys, is that this is the x-coordinate. Okay. All right, so cosine is the x-coordinate, so make sure you know that. This here is the short length. All right, so we have short x and it's negative. Okay, we got the short x and it's negative. You may ask yourself, okay, well, which circle has the short x? The answer, guys, is pi over 3. However, when you are doing a problem like this where you're going backwards, unless you know unless it's the pi over 4 circle, okay, which would happen if this was square root of 2 over 2. Unless it's the pi over 4 circle, you can use pi over 6. So let me just show you how that would go. All right, so if I go like this, and I use the pi over 6 circle, okay? Now let me find my quadrants that this will work in. So in the first quadrant, they're both positive. Second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant. All right. Now, the x, so we got the short x and it's negative. So these are the quadrants where I'd have negative x's. So I want my thetas to make me land in those quadrants. So now, guys, but since I used the pi over 6 circle, I have 2 points in each quadrant. So the point you choose needs to be the one with the short x. All right, so the x goes from the center, right or left. So short, and then that'd be longer. So guys, it's this one. All right, it's that higher one that has the shorter x. And then its counterpart in the other quadrant is there. It's just the reflection into the other quadrant. All right, so now let me count. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So my first theta is 4 pi over 6. However, guys, this is 2 pi over 3. So you could have used the pi over 3 circle from the start if you wanted to, or if you thought about it. And then this one down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 is 8. So theta is 8 pi over 6, 4 pi over 3. All right, so those are the answers. Okay, guys, there it is.